Hello everyone, welcome to this live stream on my channel. I'm your host Matty, and as it says on the tin, I will be predicting the upcoming fixtures of the World Cup qualifiers in Europe on match days 9 and 10. I'm going to talk more about the more important games, and then just sort of I seem to muddle which words I want to choose, but I'm just going to whiz through and just brush over them. So, like this game, for example, Azerbaijan versus Luxembourg. I'm going for a 2-1 win for Azerbaijan. I think they'll get one win, and this will be the game to do it. Republic of Ireland versus Portugal. I guess this isn't a game for Portugal to really worry about too much, because even if they lost, all Portugal would really need is a draw. Although if they can get a win, that would be ideal. But it sort of has no relevance ahead of this big game they've got coming up. The Republic of Ireland have certainly been improving. Callum Stephen Kenny certainly got the best out of Callum Robinson. I think Portugal will still be too good, and I think they'll take their chances. I'm going to go for a respectable 2-0 win for Portugal. Luxembourg versus Republic of Ireland. Republic of Ireland are more on and up, but I do think this will be a 1-1 draw, and Luxembourg take that third place spot. So that puts Portugal above Serbia. As I said, I'm going to go a 1-1 draw here, which keeps Luxembourg's place in third. Portugal versus Serbia. This is going to be a big game. This is the game of the group. Portugal will just need a draw to get there, like I said, against a Serbia team that's been doing well, got a lot of talented players, and have given Portugal a good run for their money. I am going to go with a 2-1 victory, I think, to Portugal. I think for most of the game it will be close. And then in the 86th minute, Cristiano Ronaldo finds that winner, whether it be a header, a tap-in, or whatever else. So that means Portugal top the group, followed by Serbia. Do leave your predictions down in the chat or the comment section. Up next, we've got Group B, where we start with Georgia versus Sweden. I think this will be a pretty straightforward win. Georgia aren't that good at all. It's a Sweden team that's in form. Go for a 3-0 win. That seems about right. Greece versus Spain. This is going to be a big one. Greece pretty much have to win if they are to have a sniff of getting that second place spot against the Spain team, who do need to step up, especially given Sweden's easiest game and the fact Sweden are top at the moment. I think it's going to be a pretty close game, and then eventually Spain will find their feet, and I think they'll have more pace, more possession, and I'm going to go with a 2-0 victory for Spain. And now we go to Greece versus Kosovo. I'm just going to go with a 2-1 victory. Now Spain versus Sweden. This is one of them where I keep changing my mind. I've maybe not keep, but I've changed my mind quite a lot. More times than not, I've said Spain would just find the way. It'll be easier to tell once we see this Greece game. I think Sweden will get a goal, but do I give it a 1-1 draw or a 2-1 victory? That's the hard part. Got two viewers here. Say hi to the two of you, whoever you may be. Who do I pick? Oh, you know what? I'm leaning towards a 1-1 draw. Although, if I want to be a little bit consistent with my last video, then I'll go with a 2-1 victory for Spain. It is neck and neck. Yeah, I'm just going to say Spain. Because I think there are more scenarios that they could, in a way, that they could win this last game that they've got. And while Sweden only need a draw, I think they're gonna kind of struggle to get chances in the same way that Spain are going to do. I'll say 2-1 for now, and if I feel like changing my mind, I'll go back to it and put it back to 1-1 or whatever else. Now we go to Group C, where I think not much is going to change. Kaitask is saying, I think Portugal will top it, as do I. What do you think of the Spain versus Sweden tie, and who do you think is going to top? That's what I'm interested. That's one of the ones I'm interested in. Yeah, I've got Portugal over Serbia because I don't think Serbia will quite have enough. Italy versus Switzerland. This is the game of the group, and you feel if Italy win this, that they'll probably get that first place spot against a Switzerland side who I rate pretty highly. I rate highly even before this shock defeat against France when they won on penalties. I think it's going to be one of these games where the score doesn't really reflect the game so much. But I'm going to give it to Italy because I think they've got more firepower. It's Italy 2, Switzerland 0. Then we've got Northern Ireland versus Lithuania. Both sides are out. Northern Ireland's stronger. I'm going to say 3-1 victory. Now we go to Northern Ireland versus Italy. I feel like Northern Ireland can put up a good fight. Italy are the stronger team. I'm just gonna go with a 2-1 victory. And then here, Switzerland versus Bulgaria. And if Italy and Switzerland draw again, imagine what things are going to be like, where the points would be the same, the goal difference would be separate. You could get drama, but for the way I predicted, it's not going to be that way. I'm going to go with a 3-1 win for Switzerland. I think this will be a pretty easy game. I think Bulgaria probably have enough in them to score, but they're my predictions. Again, a pretty dominant group, top two, that is. So now we go on to Group D. And if you let's start with Bosnia versus Finland. I think Finland will score twice, but I've considered 3-2 and 2-2. Who do I go with? I'm going to go with 2-2 draw. This is going to be a massive game considering that both sides are going to need to win, especially Finland, because if they don't, then they've got the pressure of doing it against France, and then they've got to rely on Bosnia and Ukraine getting a draw. I think it'll be 2-2 because I think there's a lot of talent in both sides, and maybe I'd give the slight benefit to Bosnia, especially the home advantage, but I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. Up next, France versus Kazakhstan. I'm going to go a 4-0 win for France. Some might say France won't make it easy for themselves against the weaker opposition, and that might be the case, but they've still got the firepower to score or enough goals to make it even, you could say, out of sight by half-time. I think 4-0 sounds about right. I'm going to go to Finland versus France first. Seeing as it's less of a big game, France would have already qualified against a Finland team that's going to battle hard to try and make sure things go their way. Only a win will do. They've got a win against France in the past. I'm going to go a 1-1 draw. I don't think Finland will have enough to surpass France, but at the same time, France aren't going to be their usual selves in comparison to usual. Bosnia versus Ukraine. This is going to be an excellent game. Who do I pick? Both sides have a lot of good players. I'm going to give the edge to Ukraine. And part of that is down to the fact that Ukraine didn't win at home to Bosnia, but I think Ukraine have a better depth of players, and I think they'll actually not quite squeeze it, but I think they'll find enough to get themselves over the line and into the playoffs. Hi says, you say Spain 1, Sweden 0. Yeah, that seems like a sensible prediction. I think it could easily be that way, especially if Sweden set up very defensively. So now we go on to Group E, actually, where Belgium look almost home and dry especially against a team that's already out. I am going to go with a 6-0 victory for Belgium because I think they've got a lot of good players, and overall, against an Estonia team that doesn't have anywhere near as good players, I think it'll be pretty easy. Even if Roberto Martinez decides to play some less good players, it'll be enough. Next, we go to Wales versus Belarus. Win game for Wales, and a big chance to put the pressure on Czech Republic, because as we can see, Wales have a game in hand on Czech Republic. Although if either side finishes third, it probably won't do them any harm. Although it might restrict their advantage in qualifying, in getting a seeded place, because I did recently find out that it's not the FIFA rankings that will determine who's the seeded and who's not. It's the points against the opponents, excluding sixth place teams. But back to this, I think Wales will have enough to get the win. I think they'll do a better job at finding the net. I'm going to go a 3-1 victory, and maybe that attacking method might allow them to concede once. But I think I think it should be a pretty easy game. Czech Republic versus Estonia. I think it'll be an easy one. A 4-0 victory. Czech Republic won the first game 6-2. It could even be a 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, 8-0. But I think 4-0 is probably that would be my guess. And it might take some time for Czech Republic to get going with their scoring. You saw how Estonia got a clean sheet away at Wales. You never know. And then this game, Wales versus Belgium. I think Belgium will pick a strong enough side against Wales. But what do I think? I think it'll be a pretty close game. But I think overall, I think despite what some people will say, Belgium are still the top-ranked team in the world, and I think that even if they aren't the best team in the world, they're certainly up there in the mix. And I think they're good enough to not to get an away winner to either Czech Republic or Wales. I think it'll be a 2-1. I think Belgium will probably come out, have a better team regardless. I think 2-1 seems about right. Wales will certainly give it a good go, but I'd put it slightly in Belgium's favour. Let's have another look at the comments, see if there's any more comments. No, not yet. But now we go on to Group E, where we got Denmark's group, and this is pretty settled. Yes, this is the only game that will probably have some attention, and I'm going to go with a 2-0, maybe 3-0 win actually. 2-0. I'll go 2-0 because I guess because Scotland don't have a particular prolific striker up front, so I might change it to 3-0, but I'll see. And then with that confirming Scotland's place in second, I'll just go through the rest of these. I'm going to have a 7-0 win for Denmark, 3-1 win for Austria against Israel, with another 3-1 victory, 4-0, and then I'm going to say Denmark will get a 100% record without even conceding. I think I will bump this up to 3-0 to Scotland. And if that backfires, but then again, I could change my mind, but whatever. 2-0, 3-0 seems about right. Could even say 4-0, although I would say no more than that. Say a 3-0 win for Scotland, and that'll be enough to take them to second. Now we go to Group E. And the focus is on the top three. And who knows, Netherlands could slip to second. Doubtfully third, but stranger things have happened. I'll go with a 3-0 win. Seeing as Haaland's not there, I'll push it down to 3. And then Turkey versus Gibraltar. Must-win game for Turkey. Easiest game for Turkey. I'm saying 5-0. 3-1 win for Netherlands, which will mean they're guaranteed a top 2 place. So let's get this game out of the way. A 2-0 win for Latvia. Montenegro versus Norway. Montenegro, a good team, and Turkey have been dodgy, but I think they'll find enough to get this crucial win. and this will be meaningful if 1-0 win, and this will be meaningful if the Dutch get a win against Norway. Unless Turkey get a strong win, but by my prediction, Netherlands will have to win for Turkey to get second. I don't think Norway are a good enough team. I'm going to say a 2-0 win for the Netherlands, which means Netherlands are first and Turkey advance through the playoffs. I think that table's about right. Definitely, that is what I predicted at the start, and I was going to say it looks like it's going to be that way, but we can't say for sure yet. Now we go to Group H, where all the attention's on Russia and Croatia. I'm going to say that Russia and Croatia get wins. 0-0 draw between Slovakia and Slovenia. Russia and Croatia, I think Cyprus and Malta are easy enough opposition. I think Cyprus will probably come up against not the greatest defense of Russia, so I think they might get something, and I'd say they've probably got more goal power than Malta, and I think Croatia will have a pretty easy game and have dominant possession. And now let's get through the blanks here, the ones that don't matter at all. I'm going to say 2-0 win for Slovakia and a 1-0 win for Slovenia. And now all focus is on this game, Croatia versus Russia. Russia, I'd say, have beaten my expectations, like post when their former manager was in charge. They've even gone as far as to top the group, although part of that has also come down to Croatia have had some disappointing results. Impressive overall. I think Croatia do have better, at least mostly they've got better individuals than Russia and the home advantage. I'm going to say 2-0, but it won't be easy for Croatia. And that'll confirm Croatia top of the table. And for Russia, they go to the playoffs. That's according to my prediction. And now we go to the one perhaps I know the most about. If Kai was here, I think he would say that England will get 2 wins. In fact, I'll message him now. In the meantime, I'll get through some of these games. So let's start with Hungary versus San Marino. I'm going to go with a 6-0 win. And now let's go to Andorra versus Poland. Go for a 3-0 win for Poland. And that means they've got a bit of a chance of getting top spot, but not really. I think even if England do lose this game, it's going to be a stretch too far. Against a pretty good Albania team, and England only won 2-0. Again, I think it would be a bit harsh to say England will roll over Albania, but then again, England did win in 7-0 against Montenegro in their last home game of the Euro 2020. 20 qualifiers. I'm going to go with a 2-0 win for England. Either they'll start slow or they'll get the job done pretty simple, and then they'll do the basics to just see it out. But it could be more. I don't fancy Albania to score against England, though. So what does that mean? That means that Hungary and Albania both out. And for Poland, they would have to rely on England to lose to have any chance of getting that first place spot. Even if England lost, I think it would be a challenge too far for Poland. So let's get this game out of the way. I'll say 2-0 win for Albania. I think for this game, Poland versus Hungary, for a while I had it as a draw. And it could be that way. Hungary got an impressive result against England, even if it was just a penalty and didn't do a lot else. But I think Poland do have a better team, and what's even more swaying me is that Hungary won't have away fans. I'm going to go a 2-1 victory for Poland. And now we go to San Marino versus England, where this will only a draw is needed if England beat Albania. But to be honest, this is an easy one. It's just a question of how many England will score. And if England are through a weaker side, well, what's likely to happen is England will play a weaker team. And if it's a more attacking lineup, especially if San Marino are playing a 5-4-1, I imagine the fullbacks will be high. For England, I'm going to have a 7-0 victory. And there we have it. England over to Qatar 2022, and Poland have a pretty strong statement to bring to the playoffs, and the rest have fallen behind. Let's no, you can't see any more comments here. Let's go to final group, starting here. Let's get the blanks out of the way. Germany already through, Liechtenstein already out. I said 7-0 before, but I think I'll go 8-0. 7-0, 8-0, that seems about right. Armenia versus North Macedonia, you'd imagine both teams will have to win to have a chance, especially Armenia, especially when you see who their next opponent is. I think this will be a good game. North Macedonia probably a bit stronger. Armenia are at home. I'm going to go a 3-2 victory. I think it'll be a good game. Romania versus Iceland. 2-1 Romania, 1-1, 0-0. I'm going to give a 0-0 draw. I think Iceland will find something. They'll find a way to get a draw. And Romania don't have a particularly great firepower. And with that leaves Iceland out of the running. And that, to be honest, North Macedonia are also in with a shout as well. Let's start with them. I think it'll be a 1-1 draw, which would leave them out of the running. Armenia versus Germany, I don't think will be enough. I think even with Germany's second team, it'll be a pretty straightforward victory. None of Armenia's first players would get into that Germany team. 3-0 victory, and then Liechtenstein versus Romania. This is perhaps the best way for Romania to end off their campaign. A game against Liechtenstein. I'm going to go with that. A 3-0 victory, and that leaves Romania into second place. So these are my predictions. What do you think? Are you looking forward to any of these games? What do you think? I think as for earlier, I'll stick with that 2-1 winner, say Sweden. I'm going to be, more news is I'm going to be at England versus Albania. Hopefully for a win, which will put England 1 foot into qualifying. And if England win and Poland don't, then that guarantees England's place. So, yeah, they're my predictions. If you're watching this not live, what do you think? What are your predictions? And I'm pretty soon going to be doing another live stream over the Africa qualifiers. And I think I've gone on long enough. So they're my predictions. What do you think? What are your predictions? And overall, the road to 2022 continues.